Hello, I'm Conrad from Greenhouse Learning, and welcome back to this little mini series on how to teach the AQA GCSE English papers. And this one, we're going to look at Poetry Anthology. So we had the one on unseen poetry, and this one uses a lot of those same techniques. So this is just all about poetry analysis. This one is tricky, mainly just because of the sheer amount of poems that the students have to learn. That can be very, very daunting for them. But what I would say your job as a tutor would be, unless you are their full time English educator, um, just focus on poetry analysis and just focus on making sure that they have the skills needed to identify the different language and structural techniques used in the poems. Maybe you can help them with the context in which the poems were written, but I would say do not just go through the poems with them. Do not learn all the poems with them. If they are in GCSE English classes, they will do that in class and they can do that for their revision. Your job as a tutor would be to focus on making sure that they have those analysis skills rather than what the poem is about. So again, we're going to look over the AOs again. The AO3 is back from unseen poetry, as you are expected to know the context in which these poems are written, but the rest of them stay the same. So, AO1, what is the poem about? What is it trying to say? AO2, how do you know that the poet's trying to portray a sort of theme or feeling using their techniques and using the language that they have used? And then AO4, the classics back. Um, so this is the list of poems that they'll have to learn for the love and relationships section, and then this is the list of poems that they have to learn for the power and conflict section. The What I'd say the good thing about poetry anthology is that the questions will remain the same. It will always be, what does this poem show about love and relationships? What does this poem show about power and conflict? The tricky bit comes from you will get given one of the poems and you'll be expected to compare it to another poem that you have studied. So a good thing to do is learn a general bit about all of the poems. Learn the context of all of the poems because you will need that. And then really learn a few really, really well. Maybe two or three. Learn them word for word. And then when it comes to the question, the ones you are comparing to, you will be able to compare it very, very well because the one you're comparing it to, you can have that knowledge already in you. So you can choose any one. And then you would hope that the one you see would spark some memory. You'd be like, oh yeah, I remember that about it. But do learn the context of all of them, but only learn the words really well to maybe two or three. And then, yeah, same with the other one. That would be my advice. Obviously, this is for maybe the lower ability students if they want to feel more confident. But at the end of the day, you don't need to know all of these poems. You only need to know two of these and two of these. So I'd stay clear of just learning one really well because what if that's the one that comes up? Chances are slim, but stranger things have happened. So just make sure you're that bit of extra prepared. So how the exam is laid out, you get two essay questions of 30 marks, and then the two different themes. So you've got the love and relationships, and you've got the power and conflict. And then that's just kind of what I was saying earlier. So then what is this about? So your ability to analyze poems. You'll always have the same question, but different poems. Focus on the themes and the meaning, and then link in technique. So like I said with the unseen poetry, you want to be making sure your point is about the themes and feelings that the poet's trying to display, and then back that up using the technique. So don't start your point by saying the poet has used this technique. Say the poet has portrayed this certain feeling, and he has used this technique to back it up, or to emphasize it. So your student will be tested on their ability to compare and contrast different poems. So you need to find the similarities in the writing and styles and the message behind it and outline why they are different. So even though it will be about power and conflict, how do these two poems show power and conflict in different ways? So look at the tone to understand the meaning behind the poem. how the perspective of the speaker influences the message. So again, that's a bit more AO3. You need to know about the author. Why would they have this view on something? And remember, most of the poems, that are on the syllabus. So that's why I've kind of said most, all, some. I would say learn 3. But obviously, if you're teaching a high ability student who feels that they have the capacity to learn more, then don't stand in their way. If it's not going to get in the way of any other revision, you could probably spend this time doing something better than learning every single poem word for word. You'll have to know the AO3s behind every poem. So as they'll have prior knowledge of the poems, the AO3 will still be needed. And will need more in-depth analysis compared to unseen poetry. So you will, because these poems would be pre-studied, you'll get marked a lot harsher on your ability to analyze, as you would have gone through this in class. So how to approach the questions. Read the question first before reading the text to understand what you need. Highlight the AO1. Again, sorry, I still haven't flipped that around. And take the AO2. So you're highlighting your AO2 and animating it with the AO1. And then use this to develop your answer. Again, it's the same for everyone, but it's just a good rule of thumb. This is just the staple that your students should be doing. So now let's look at what the exam would look like. So this is the love and relationship one. So The Farmer's Bride and one other poem from Love and Relationships. So it'll always be how the poet presents a strong feeling in romantic relationships. And then the other one, so then you just get a list of poems. Compare how the poet presents the ideas of power and control in London and one other poem. So again, you just want to be going through the poem, highlighting certain bits of what you think would be important. But again, this isn't as necessary as when you're doing your other one, because you will have some knowledge of this poem. You would have gone through it. They would have gone through it in class and they would have studied it. So it's not like you're starting afresh. Like, some things will come back to you. And then again, you just need to be planning your essay and making sure that you're hitting those AOs by using bits from the text, trying to work out what feeling it's trying to create, understand the mood, and then pick a poem that fits it well. Obviously, all of them will be about love and relationship, power and conflict, but if you have learned more than one, then choose which one you think is best. If you've just done my advice and just learned one, that's fine. You won't get marked down for choosing a poem that maybe is not the best fit. The question says one other poem. So yeah, I hope that's kind of helped understand how to approach the poetry anthology paper. Again, the poetry ones are kind of the tricky ones, because you do just need a good understanding of how to analyze poetry. Like I said in these videos, we're not really going to go through that. This is more just about how to approach the exams and what the exams will be in, or what will be in the exams. Like I said, I will put in these videos a link to the resources I've used that have been really helpful with poetry analysis. And thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next one.